Hi guys, it's Hani here, and today I'm gonna show you how to make these adorable 3D turkey cookies for Thanksgiving. Let's get started. I used the round scalloped edge cookie cutter to cut out the shapes, and I trimmed one side so it was flat. So this is going to help us prop the turkey upright, the flat part, so we can easily glue it onto the base. Now once the cookies are cool, you can start decorating. Today I'm using royal icing, that's the medium I mostly work with. And you can find both recipes for sugar cookies and royal icing on my blog, as well as here on my YouTube channel. Links are gonna be listed in the description box under the video. Now with blue royal icing, about 20-second consistency, you want to create this border. Use your scribe to shape the icing while it's wet, and then allow it to dry for a couple hours. Now we're going to create the brushed embroidery design. I'm using stiff royal icing here and a piping bag fitted with a round piping tip number 2. I'm doing this in small sections because I don't want my icing to crust on me. So if you are new to the brushed embroidery, I highly recommend that you do maybe 3-4 sections, and then use a food only paintbrush. This is a 1/4 inch flat brush that I'm using, and in between I'm wiping it off into a damp paper towel to make sure that the bristles are clean. You could also do this in different color. It all depends on the look you're looking for, so you can try maybe orange, yellow, whatever color you want. And then we're going to finish this up. I'm going to prepare the surface for the next step, and to do that I'm going to actually scrape some of the residue from the brushed embroidery. So I'm using my 2-in-1 tool, creating the border, and then scraping some of it off. And now we can outline and flat this section with flat consistency royal icing. This is 15-second consistency orange royal icing. I love using orange straight from a bottle food coloring to color my orange royal icing. I just love that it produces this bright orange color. Now I'm going to do wet on wet technique, which is super simple. So we're just going to pipe lines with different colors: blue, white, yellow, red. And you want to make sure that the icing that you're piping onto the orange is also 15-second consistency. You see how it's sinking in? That's what you want. And now with a scribe, run the scribe through the icing from the top to the middle, wiping it off after each time you run it through the icing, and then repeat on the other side. And there. And after this, let it crust, and then you can add dots around. For this, I would use icing that is about 20 to 25-second consistency. So this is the first design. Second design, it's similar. We're gonna start though with the brushed embroidery, and I'm gonna do that all around. Again, as a reminder, make sure that you dampen your brush very lightly. You don't wanna get too much water on it. So if there is excess water, it's going to melt down the sugar in your royal icing, and you don't want that. It's going to dilute it too much. So make sure that you have a damp paper towel and also dry paper towel on hand in case you need to dry your brush if it's too wet. And for the brushes that I'm using, this brush is actually from a set of 5 brushes from Wilton, and I have those listed in my Amazon shop. Now again, I'm using my 2-in-1 tool, creating the border, and then you want to scrape that excess off so it doesn't interfere with the flat icing as you're piping the border. And again, I'm using orange royal icing here, 15-second consistency. 15-second consistency basically means that when you run a spatula through royal icing, the line that the spatula creates, it heals in about 15 seconds. 15 seconds. Or if you pull the icing up and let it fall, it will become blend it with the remaining icing in about 15 seconds. And now again, we're going to do wet on wet. This is a really fun technique and really quick. All right, and now you can run the scribe through the icing, again wiping it every time you run it through into a paper towel. All right, almost done here. And I'm also going to add dots on the outside, and you want to do this while this is all wet, so the dots are going to sink in, and then we're gonna let it crust, and then we can add another set of dots around. I'm using tipless piping bags mostly, except for the brushed embroidery where I'm using the piping tip. And tipless bags, you can source those out on Amazon. That's where I usually get my bags, and you can also find them in my Amazon shop. Now I'm going to create 2 layers here. You can see I'm staggering brushed embroidery. The first layer of brushed embroidery should be at least crusted, and then you can add the second layer. So basically you're brushing off some of that icing that you piped the border, you're brushing it inwards towards you, and then excess you want to wipe that off onto a towel. Now again, I'm going to create the border and then scrape that off. And I'm going to use blue royal icing here. For whatever reason I decided to use blue, I just like the look of it. So this is also 15-second consistency, and also 15, yes, I already said that, 15-second. And also we're going to do wet on wet. So I'm repeating the same thing. We're doing wet on wet design. So all of these cute little turkeys, they're going to be decorated with the same technique. Slightly different, each of them can be slightly different, but the wet on wet is the same. So I'm using 2 white lines and then 1 yellow line, and then with the tip of a scribe you're gonna run it through. If you don't have a scribe tool like I have, the metal tool, you can also use a toothpick. It works really well. And there. And again, I'm going to add dots around. You want to add the dots once the blue part is at least crusted. To speed up the drying process, you can place the cookies on a flat tray and have a fan running, either ceiling fan or a stand fan, and it does help with faster drying and crusting of royal icing. Now I'm going to create 1 cookie, 1 design with just orange royal icing and the wet on wet. And we're not gonna do brushed embroidery, so if you wanted to do this design, this is the fastest of them all, and you can get this done really quickly. Alright, now we're gonna take different colors of 15-second consistency royal icing. It is the most important thing when doing the wet on wet. Your icing, your piping on top of the base should be the same consistency or similar consistency, so it sinks in and you can create the design using the scribe, dragging the scribe through the icing. And now here we go. We can go and pull the icing from the top to the middle. Isn't that pretty? I love wet on wet technique. It's one of my favorite techniques because it gives the results immediately. And then just repeat on the other side. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to let that dry, and once that's dry, we can put it, we can assemble the turkey. Now for the turkey body, I'm using a small, this is a cutter from nesting doll set that I have. You can also use a small snowman. Some of the snowmen, they come just with 2 balls, or you can hand cut this, or you don't have to use this part. You can just pipe this shape directly on the cookie itself. Now again, I'm using wet on wet. I piped polka dots with white, and now I'm covering them up, creating the feather look. Now let that crust, and now we're going to layer head on the top. And this icing is about 15 to 20 second consistency also. Now I'm gonna create the wings. And then we have to let it crust again before we add the beak and the eyes and the waddle. To make the beak, I'm gonna use, this is yellow royal icing tinted with just a touch of orange, just really tiny amount of orange to make it more golden, and then pipe the eyes with black royal icing. All of these are about 20 to 25 second consistency. Add the highlights with white royal icing. Use a scribe to pick up a small amount of icing right off the piping bag, and then place it on a black eyeball. Now we're gonna glue these on with a little bit of stiff royal icing. Make sure that the base cookie is dry, and then you can use some shifting motion to make it flush with the base. I'm going to clean up the edge with my zester here so I can then glue it on the base cookie, like so. To decorate the base cookie, I'm using stiff royal icing colored with green food coloring, and I'm using a grass tip. And I'm just gonna pipe the grass on the whole surface of the cookie. This is super fun to do and really easy. And there, then you can just glue it on. What you can also do, you can pipe some icing on the bottom, like so, and then place it on the top. Allow it to dry, and then you can display these on your Thanksgiving table. These will be great as table setting cookies as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.